Supreme Commander Azoth Vex paced the gleaming command deck of the Imperial flagship, Inevitable Dominion, his elongated shadow stretching across the holographic displays that showed Earth's continents wrapped in conflict. 3 standard cycles had passed since the Galactic Empire had launched what should have been a routine subjugation campaign against this isolated, technologically inferior world. Nothing about it had been routine. "Latest casualty reports," he demanded, mandibles clicking with agitation. Fleet Admiral Keir Noth approached cautiously, aware of the commander's volatile temperament since the campaign had started collapsing. "We've lost 47% of our ground forces, Supreme Commander. 22 capital ships disabled or destroyed. Our remaining forces are facing coordinated resistance on all fronts." Azoth Vex stared at the tactical display, where red indicators representing Imperial losses spread like a disease across every theater of operation. How is this possible? Their weapons are primitive. Their military forces fragmented across arbitrary national boundaries. "It's the humans' adaptive capacity, sir," Keir Noth replied. "They're learning our tactics faster than our tactical matrices can evolve countermeasures." "And the Americans?" The Admiral hesitated. "Continue," Azoth Vex commanded. "The Americans are employing asymmetric warfare at a level our strategists didn't anticipate. They're not trying to match our technological advantage. They're bypassing it entirely with unconventional approaches." The Supreme Commander's compound eyes shifted, focusing on the North American continent, where the greatest concentration of Imperial losses had occurred. "The High Council has authorized negotiations," he said finally. "We cannot sustain these losses, not for a peripheral world with limited strategic value." Admiral Keir Noth's exoskeletal plates clicked in what might have been relief. "I'll prepare diplomatic protocols immediately." "See that you do," Azoth Vex replied, "and prioritize contact with the American leadership. If we can secure their cooperation, the rest of this fractious planet will follow." 37 kilometers below the Imperial flagship, deep within a hardened military bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Jake Sullivan of SEAL Team 6 studied the holographic display showing the enemy vessel's schematics. The past 3 weeks had been the most intense of his 20-year career, not just because of the alien invasion, but because of what it had revealed about his own government. "Time check," he said quietly. "T minus 43 minutes to optimal alignment," replied Lieutenant Commander Ramirez, monitoring the deployment of their most classified asset, a weapon system that, until 3 weeks ago, Sullivan hadn't known existed. Around them, the Special Access Program facility hummed with activity as technicians made final preparations. The room represented the heart of America's darkest secret, a shadow space program that had quietly operated parallel to NASA for decades, developing technologies far beyond what the public or even the invading aliens believed possible. "Incoming transmission from STRATCOM," announced the communications officer. "The aliens are requesting diplomatic channels. They're looking to negotiate." Sullivan exchanged glances with Colonel Hargrove, the facility's commanding officer. "Convenient timing," the SEAL remarked. "They want to talk right when we're about to hit their command ship. The President is considering their request," the comms officer added. "SECDEF is pushing to delay our counterstrike pending negotiations." Colonel Hargrove's expression hardened. "The decision has already been made. Operation Guillotine proceeds as planned." Sullivan nodded grimly. 3 weeks of brutal conflict had taught them one unmistakable lesson. The Empire didn't negotiate in good faith. Their first diplomatic overture had been a prelude to an orbital bombardment that had devastated Denver. The second had allowed them to deploy biological agents in the Mississippi watershed. "Status of insertion team?" Sullivan asked, turning to the mission control station. "ODIN-1 is in position," came the response. "Stealth systems functioning within parameters." They're undetected in the flagship's shadow. On a secondary display, Sullivan could see the sleek outline of America's most classified spacecraft, a vessel that combined reverse-engineered alien technology with decades of black-budget innovation. Crewed by a joint special operations team and shadowing the Imperial flagship, it carried the one payload that could end this conflict decisively. His tablet chimed with an incoming message: presidential authorization, countersigned by the Joint Chiefs. Despite the aliens' overtures, the highest levels of command had reached the same conclusion Sullivan had days ago. Negotiation was merely a tactic for the Empire, not a genuine desire for peace. On the Imperial flagship, Supreme Commander Azoth Vex reviewed the human response to his negotiation proposal. Their diplomatic language was promising expressions of willingness to discuss cessation of hostilities, requests for verification protocols, and proposed neutral meeting coordinates. They're being surprisingly accommodating, Admiral Keir Noth observed. Perhaps they've finally recognized the futility of resistance. Azoth Vex was not so easily convinced. Or they're stalling. Increase security protocols throughout the fleet. I want double scanning frequencies on all approach vectors. Supreme Commander, interrupted the sensor officer, we're detecting an anomalous reading in Sector 7. Possibly a debris field from earlier engagement. Analyze it, Azoth Vex ordered, but something in his genetic memory, the instinctive wariness that had kept his species alive through millennia of interstellar conflict, triggered a sense of imminent danger. Full defensive protocols, he suddenly commanded. Raise all shields. The bridge crew scrambled to comply, but the sensor officer's next words confirmed his fears. Energy spike detected. It's not debris, it's... The officer never finished his sentence as a blinding flash erupted from the debris field. The humans had concealed their most advanced weapon within what appeared to be battle wreckage, allowing it to drift undetected into optimal strike position. In the mountain bunker, Sullivan watched as the specialized EMP device, designed specifically to target the alien flagship's quantum communication array, detonated successfully. Unlike conventional human MCs, this weapon had been engineered based on recovered alien technology, calibrated to bypass their shields by exploiting a resonance frequency discovered during earlier engagements. Direct hit, reported the tactical officer. Their primary communication systems are offline. Secondary systems compromised. The flagship is isolated from the fleet. This had been Sullivan's plan from the beginning, not to destroy the flagship, but to sever its connection to the rest of the Imperial forces. Without the Supreme Commander's coordinating control, the hierarchical command structure of the Empire would fragment, creating exploitable gaps in their response capabilities. ODIN-1. Proceed with Phase 2, Sullivan ordered. Boarding teams stand by. On the main display, the smaller human craft now emerged from concealment, approaching the disabled command sections of the massive Imperial vessel. The boarding team comprised of SEAAL operators, equipped with reverse-engineered alien tech, prepared to do what they did best: direct action against high-value targets. Colonel Hargrove approached Sullivan, watching as the operation progressed exactly as planned. The diplomatic channel is still open. The President is maintaining the illusion of negotiation interest while we proceed. Sullivan nodded. The Empire hasn't learned the most important lesson about humanity yet. We'll talk about peace with one hand while the other is already in motion. He watched as the boarding craft successfully attached to the Imperial flagship. They sought negotiations, but I decided their fate days ago. As the SEAL boarding team breached the flagship's hull, Sullivan reflected on the irony. The aliens had expected to face a technologically inferior opponent bound by conventional warfare ethics. Instead, they had encountered a species that had spent its entire history preparing for exactly this kind of existential threat and had developed contingencies the Empire couldn't begin to imagine. The Supreme Commander wanted to negotiate now, but it was too late. The SEALs were already inside his ship, moving with practiced precision toward the command deck. Whatever terms the Empire had planned to offer, humanity led by America's most elite warriors had already decided on terms of their own.